Oh, hey, welcome back to Working Class Customs YouTube channel, and welcome back to Carolina Motorsports Park. We're here today to talk about the illustrious 2008 Suzuki GSX.
We have 5 minutes.
2008 Suzuki GSXR-750. How well it works as a track bike. Also, apologize for if you hear some random interruptions. We are at a track day, so there will be
at a track, getting ready to go. I just want to start this off, as Easton mentioned, we're going to be talking about the Gixxers. I want to give you a disclaimer right up front. Gixxer boy over here is going to try to goad me into saying all the great things. You watch, he'll goad me. He'll be like, is it not better than a BMW? Why are you comparing it to the BMW? These are the things he's going to say. You've been warned.
Okay, I might say some things, I might not. I mean, it's true, right? I've been riding one for a long time. I've always had my eye on this specific year, make, and model. I like the look of it. This one's easier to tell. It's a little taped up right now, but the headlights, I think it looks the best. All of those things, but set those aside, and much like our Ducati review, let's talk about, someone picking one of these up as a track bike. Where does it fall in that category? And is there better, is there worse?
High level points that I will make. The 750 in particular. A 600 has enough power to be fun at the track, everything else, but a 750's just got that little extra kick, and you get the best of both worlds, I think. You get a little more power, so you're a little closer to those thousands, but it's still a small, nimble bike that I think that part of them's great. From a power standpoint, Ethan's pointed out, his bike over there got a bigger onion than this bike over here. This one's in stock trim.
Mostly.
Except for some gearing, some real small change, but as far as internal engine, it does have an M4 exhaust. Both of these bikes have M4 exhaust, but the bike that I'm riding is what you can expect with pretty much any Gixxer you find on your local want ads.
Yeah. I will say, I think the biggest thing for me is the price point. $3,000, $3,500 for this guy?
I think it was $4,500.
40? Okay, I thought it was a little under 4, but anywhere from that 3 to 5 range.
If it was more than that, I need some money back.
If you're going over 5, I think you're probably looking a little newer than this range. If you're under 3, then it's probably not actually worth taking to the track. But in that 3 to 5 range. And I will say that was just to get it. After that, we definitely spent some money. Obviously, tires, the exhaust we put on it, getting it tuned up, a couple other little things, but nothing too crazy. So I think that price point, what you get for the price point is, I think it's best quality as far as a track bike goes. What else do you got?
As far as suspension on these bikes, we're both running stock suspension. It's an adjustable suspension.
Yep, fully adjustable
for most track riders, fully sufficient.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, no matter what bike you get, I'm usually pretty lucky with how small I am. Generally, when I take it to a shop to get suspension done, they kind of laugh at me because they're like, "Yeah, actually, usually I have to recommend new springs, but you're good on your stock springs." But that's with any bike. If you're running a little heavier, you're gonna need a spring upgrade if you want to technically meet the standard. But I do like, yeah, inverted forks. I mean, it's a super sport, so it's gonna have all the nice super sport qualities, but the fully adjustable suspension is definitely nice.
So we got good suspension. When we did the review on the Ducati, for example, we said we haven't changed any suspension settings. And my size versus your size is quite a bit different. With this bike, it's sufficient for pretty quick track time. I mean, we're laying some fast times. We're not holding anybody up, and just on stock suspension. So out of the box, you're good there. That's going to save you a lot of money.
Yep. Trying to think brakes. You want to talk about brakes?
And talk about brakes. We've touched on the brakes with the Gixxer.
We've talked about them before.
We've talked about them before, but for this, the confidence inspiring. I never feel worried with the brakes on this bike. They're a little bit soft, and for me, it feels good that way. That's how I like it. I never feel like I'm grabbing too much brake. I'm gonna go over the front. I can just crank on them.
Yeah, you go into a corner and you know, like if you happen to slip or whatever, grab too much. We've mentioned this plenty of times in our other videos, so if you're rehearing that, sorry, but the Gixxer brakes just give you that confidence, right? You're going into a corner, and if you accidentally grab too much or you need to grab more real quick, they don't bite as hard as some other brakes do. And we tend to like that. Makes it a lot easier to ride smoothly.
So the brakes are good, suspension's good. What about your telemetry?
Telemetry.
What kind of gauges you got on a stock Gixxer like this? How much information are we getting?
Well, you got a RPM, you got speed.
Those are the important ones.
Your gear.
Your gear.
So that Ducati didn't have a gear indicator.
Correct.
So I will uptick there. This is a 2008, so it's 4 years older than the Ducati that we bought and tested out on the track, and there is a gear indicator on these guys. Is that a necessary thing? No, but is it nice to know? Yeah, absolutely. I think RPM is definitely more important, and I don't know a bike that doesn't have RPM.
Yeah,
but
especially on one of these.
But having a gear indicator is just nice to have. There is technically a shift light downtick for Suzuki here. The shift light on these has to be reprogrammed every time you start the bike. So I've never messed with it because I don't want to get on the bike every time, reprogram my shift light, go in there and do that. I'll just watch RPM and shift when I know I need to.
Ergonomically, we're two different sizes again.
Yep.
But I never feel cramped on this bike. For me, I'm able to move around wherever I want to.
Yep.
A very flickable bike.
Yeah, absolutely. Lightweight. I mean, the Gixxer handling is like something that everyone will always talk about, I think. Like a lot of people hate on Gixxers, but at the end of the day, you go ride one on the track, on the street, whatever, everyone loves the handling, right? So we don't need to touch on that too much. I'd say it holds true for sure.
I think we do need to touch on that.
Okay.
We need to touch on one thing. Get over your egos, people.
Yeah.
Gixxers have got a bad rep. I actually make fun of him all the time for the same thing as I started this video, but you can't deny it. There's a reason they're so popular. There's a reason. They're cheap, they're fast, they handle well, parts are readily available. They're one of the cheapest ways to get out on the track and really compete for a lap time.
Yeah.
And as far as quality, I mean, this guy beat the hell out of that thing for I don't know how long, and it just keeps going.
I mean, you think about it, they're 15 and 14 years old, respectively. It's
been a real solid bike in the experience I have with them.
Absolutely.
They don't deserve the bad name they have. let some squid boys ruin your opinion of this bike.
Yeah. If you're, so I think what we're trying to focus on the channel and for us is, you know, taking one to the track. And honestly, an R6 of this year range, a Honda this year range, a Kawasaki this year range, and a Gixxer this year range are all, everyone's gonna have their likes and dislikes. I will say, I think the Kawasaki's got some like weird points to it. I've ridden one, but not on a racetrack, so we gotta get out there and do that. But don't go taking the street view of any of them, but especially these, and applying it to the racetrack because they can hold their own. And I'll say, Gixxer's the only one that offers a 750, right? You can't go get that in a Honda or a Cowie or a Yamaha unless you're getting old. So that kind of gives you that sweet, like you were talking about, you can run with the 1000s a little bit, but you still have the agility of the 600, so it's real fun to get out there and kind of show some people up. The other thing I want to touch on real quick while we were talking about ergonomics is that this is completely stock rear set and you can move them.
Right.
Like from factory, not a lot, not a ton of adjustment, but you have adjustability from factory. And that is like, I don't know, I think it's sweet, being able to move it a little bit, set it up.
That's definitely good. Like I said, I haven't had any clearance issues, anything like that, and I'm leaning this thing over.
Yep. Do we have, what negatives do we have? What do we got?
The only negatives I have, which is ticky-tack, because most bikes aren't gonna have it, but as a guy who drives a bike that has that, I miss my auto blip.
Yeah, so it is older, right? There's no auto up and down. I do have a quick shifter on mine. I've done some things to this. I've got a quick turn throttle. There's a whole video on it. I'll throw it up there. You guys can go check it out on what I've done to convert it into a track bike.
Yeah, that would be a negative for me, but it's unfair to blame the bike for it because of the year and the things.
Yeah, the
but also, you mentioned the quick turn throttle. Oh man, I miss a quick turn throttle also. Another thing I can't blame the bike for, but man, I'm just multiple.
They are nice to have. I will say it does have rider modes, right? It's got A, B, and C mode. That's another thing that you have to like physically turn on every time. So there's that for you. But that's nice. You know, if you're out on the track on a rain day or something, you can click it down into C mode. And I've ridden them in C mode before. It's not like a huge difference, which I think is pretty same between most sport bikes, but it's enough of a difference that it just gives it to you a little smoother. We don't have ABS. We don't have traction control. We don't have wheelie control. We don't have cruise control. We don't have, like, none of those crazy amenities. That ABC rider mode is about all you've got there. That being said, it's an older bike. You're going to the track. It's kind of nice.
Right?
No,
yeah,
there's no
kind of
technology
refreshing
to worry about getting in your way. I'm trying to think of a negative.
Well, I know you're not going to come up with any negatives.
Well, I think like it being an old bike is going to be the biggest negative. It's not a 1000. That's another big negative. But like you were talking about, the parts availability and the pricing of the parts is
still
insane.
there, still good even after all these years.
Yep.
And they're still making it.
Yep.
Not that all the components cross over, but some of them will still. There's still a cult following for them.
Yep, and that's the other thing. You walk through the pits and you're going to see them. You're going to see 06s through 2010s. That's kind of that year range is kind of all the same.
That's not by accident.
Nope, there's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it. They're a good track bike. But I'll tell you what, we got to get going.
We do have to get going. I'd say I found a negative.
Okay.
One negative I have.
I'm getting antsy. You can hear the bike?
Changing the tires on this thing without buying some aftermarket parts is a pain in the butt. So as far as that track bike, if you want to just take it and you're planning on pulling your wheels on and off all day, the spacers are, captive wheel spacers are a necessity if you're going to be changing tires all the time. So that's like the biggest negative, I think.
That's fair.
Beyond that, great track bike, great for starting out. Plenty of power to where you're not going to feel like you're missing something, but not so much that you still might get scared of it depending on where you're at.
Oh, it's enough to scare a person.
Good price point. I think that's what we got.
Good. Let's go race.
All right, well, enjoy some footage.
Thanks for watching.